Hi, my name is Quinn and I'm a junior at Peak to Peak. This summer I challenged myself to go zero waste and this is how it went. I started my zero waste challenge. I knew I would have to invest in a couple zero waste and reusable products that would swap out some of my everyday single-use products that I use. Here are all the products I bought. First, I got reusable mesh produce bags to replace the plastic bags you get from the store. I got these for $12 on Amazon and it came with 5 small, 5 medium, and 5 large bags. They're very durable and easy to clean, and you can just wash them with soap and water and leave them out to dry. One thing is that the large bags are so big they could probably fit an entire watermelon, so we don't use them unless we need to. So I would recommend getting a set with more small and medium sizes because those will fit most of the produce that you're going to buy. Next, I got reusable beeswax wraps to replace saran wrap. This set was $17 for 2 small, 3 medium, and 2 large wraps. They're easy to clean with soap and water and come in so many fun and cute designs. They're also super easy to use. You just take a wrap and place it over the container you want to cover, and hold your hands over the wrap for about 20 seconds. The warmth from your hands will mold the beeswax into place and make it stay. Next are reusable bags. These bags came with clothing purchases, so they technically weren't free, but a lot of stores now give reusable bags to customers when they buy their products. So saving those and using them when you go shopping is a great way to reduce plastic waste. I recommend leaving a few of these bags in the back of your car. That way you will always have them with you if you go shopping when you weren't planning on going, and it just makes using them a lot simpler and more attractive. I also bought some reusable cotton rounds. I think these have been my favorite purchase so far because I've really seen the difference in the amount of money that I used to spend on buying cotton rounds compared to the $10 I spent for a pack of 20 reusable ones that I use all the time. They're very soft and I throw them in the laundry with all my clothes. One thing I'm looking into buying is a mesh laundry bag so that I can keep all my face rounds together when I do the laundry and I don't lose any in some of my clothes. Moving on to my reusable cotton swab. I got a swab designed specifically for makeup removal because I used to use a lot of cotton swabs to take off any mascara that got on my eyelid, so it's shaped for that specific purpose. It was $12 for a single swab, and you can just clean it with soap and water. The one thing I've noticed is that some of the makeup doesn't come off the swab, so it looks kind of dirty, but I think I just need to start cleaning it right after I use it. And lastly, I got some reusable Ziploc bags. These bags are BPA free and freezer safe. They came in a pack with 3 snack bags, 5 sandwich, and 2 gallon bags, all for $15. Same as the produce bags and beeswax wraps, you can just clean them with soap and water and leave them out to air dry. We use these bags for just about anything you could think of, from packing snacks all the way to storing deli meat we get from the store. In my house, we use a decent amount of Ziploc bags, so we may end up getting another set of these. One thing I'd like to note is while some of these swaps may feel more on the pricey side, you are only buying most of these once, and they will last you for a very long time. These swaps will most certainly pay off in the long run, both financially and obviously environmentally. Later on, I had to buy a bin to hold our food scraps with a charcoal filter in the lid because we tried using just a bowl at first and had problems with the smell. Zero waste swaps also save so much room. This is what my pantry shelf looked like before, with a bunch of boxes of saran wrap, tinfoil, Ziploc bags, and more. And now this is what it looks like. Not only is most of the shelf open, but it's much more organized and looks so much better. Another thing I want to point out that we have in our pantry is this plastic bag holder. This is where we hold the plastic bags we get from shopping when we don't use our reusable bags. We give them a second life by using them in our trash cans around the house. I just got to the grocery store and I wanted to show you what it looks like to go zero waste shopping, or almost zero waste. So I have my reusable bags with me, I have produce bags, and I have everything that I need to go shopping. So let's go. I use the bottom part of the cart to store my bags. When I grab produce, I'll throw it in a produce bag, and sometimes I won't even use a bag if I'm just getting 1 or 2 things like a pear or something. When I get deli meats, I ask them to put it in my reusable Ziploc bags, and they're always very nice about it, and can even hand you the sticker so it doesn't get stuck on your bag since they tend to be pretty sticky. The sticker does make it not fully zero waste, but sometimes you can't avoid it. Here you see I'm grabbing a plastic container of power greens and a plastic bag of baby carrots. 2 specific things that I cannot buy in bulk, although there are some ways I could have avoided the plastic. You're not going to be fully perfect every time you go out to get groceries, but what does matter are the few changes that you do make that have a huge impact on our environment. Okay, so now for composting. I had a lot of difficulty actually choosing which composting method I wanted to go with, but ultimately I decided to go with a compost tumbler, which sits in your backyard, and you'll bring out your compost 2 to 3 times a week, and you put in green materials, which is like your food waste, and you put in your brown materials, which is like dry leaves and twigs, and then you twist it around 2 to 3 times a week, and it creates compost in about 8 weeks or more, depending on what the compost looks like when you put it in, etc. But there were a couple different options that I chose between, including making a pile in my backyard, getting a curbside composting service, or bringing it to a composting place such as Sustainable Broomfield's Composting Club at the Crescent Grange. But I ultimately decided to go with a compost tumbler just because I didn't want to make a pile in my backyard because of smell and neighbors and our HOA. And I did not want to bring it to a place just because that is also increasing my carbon footprint with the gas and everything about that. So the last option could have been a curbside composting service, but that would have added up way quickly. So ultimately, the compost tumbler was the best option for me. It was about, I think it was about $90, and it took me a good hour and a half to build. But I think the reason it took me so long to build was because I was doing it alone. So I highly suggest if you end up going with a compost tumbler, get somebody else to help you build it, because it was just a little bit difficult since the directions were hard to understand because there weren't really any like words, it was just pictures. But other than that, so far it's worked great. Every time you add to your compost bin, you want to add your greens, which include kitchen scraps, and about twice as much browns, which are things like dried leaves and twigs. You spin around for about 5 to 10 times, and make sure you do that every 2 to 3 days. You could have composted dirt in as little as 8 weeks. One thing to keep in mind is when you're collecting your food scraps, you need to chop all the scraps down into smaller pieces so that it's easier to break down and decompose. This step will help your compost turn into usable dirt much quicker. For example, you need to crunch up eggshells, cut up avocado cores and any fruit skin, rip up paper towels, shred paper, and overall just make sure the things you're putting in your compost bin aren't too big. And if you notice your compost bin looks a little bit dry, you can also add some water in as well. It's now the end of the summer, and I just wanted to go over some things that I've learned and also some things I've struggled with just going zero waste. The first being the countless number of times I've had to carry my groceries out of the store in my arms instead of in a plastic bag just because I forgot to put my reusable bags back in the car, and I did not want to get a plastic bag. I've also had to crunch up dried eggshells that somebody placed in our food scraps bin, kind of just forgetting that you have to crunch it up so it decomposes faster. And so before putting it in the tumbler, I have to crunch them up, and they're already kind of like decomposing and a little bit rotten, and it's pretty gross. I've also had to even dig food out of our trash can just because since composting is a new, habit for us, we're not used to putting it in a different bin, so I've had to go through and find like insides of like red peppers and things like that and put them in my compost bin. I've also gotten so many bug bites from looking for dried leaves and twigs under this massive tree we have in our backyard, just to find the brown materials to put in our compost tumbler. One thing I have noticed is that zero waste and reusable swaps is becoming more of a widespread thing. I've seen in Target, they're selling these reusable produce bags. I also went on a road trip this summer through Seattle and Washington, and in these little stores, kind of in these like quaint little towns, they would only have bulk sections, so you wouldn't be able to buy, individually wrapped items. You'd have to bring bags, and you could fill up, things like shampoo and conditioner, but that way you're just reducing the waste with like individual shampoo bottles and things like that. Overall, this challenge has just taught me a lot about being conscious of my habits. That's mainly what living zero waste is. It's just being aware of the impact you have and kind of how like you live and you eat and like the things you throw away have a huge impact. I think the one thing that deters people from going zero waste is the little bit of extra effort and mindfulness you have to have during the day just to be aware of the waste you're creating and your footprint. One thing I've learned is that setting yourself up and preparing just to make it as easy as possible for you to live zero waste makes it not as difficult. Like if I didn't keep my reusable bags in the back of my car, I probably wouldn't want to use them, because if I had to put them in every single time I went, that would kind of be a pain, and it just wouldn't make it very appealing to do. The biggest thing to remember is that to make a difference, you don't have to go fully zero waste. It's just the small changes that you do make that have the biggest difference.